Everyone, welcome back to Colours from Australia. So this week's video is going to be looking at Neocaridina. So this video is going to cover different Neocaridina types, tank setup, water, just a few close-up shots of the different most popular types in my opinion in the Australian hobby. So I will be making many different part series to it. This is just an overview, as it's been suggested by a few people to make this video, so I thought I would. In future installments, I'll be looking at the genetic difference between different types. For example, difference between blue velvet, blue jelly, difference between Bloody Mary, fire red, and so on and so on. So this is just a quick, brief introduction. So this is just a basic Neocaridina chart. It's not perfect, but it is a good reference. So here you have your wild type strains, and then the different lineages that come off. So this wild type here then gives you red cherry, then gives you many different types that spin off. So this is just your basic lineage. And then obviously, for example, you have a green here, a green here, and a green here and here. But they come from different lineage lines. So just to highlight, just because it's a certain color doesn't mean it's a correct type. And then you can further break this down from the wild type place. So here, as you can see, as I highlighted, this whole clade, you'd call it, is pretty comprehensive. So it goes from the wild to red cherry, then splits out into all your different types. Obviously, there's been a lot more shrimp types discovered since now, but yeah, it's quite comprehensive. This one is a starting point. And obviously you've got your wild type into your Shoko, and then, you know, into your Bloody Mary, which is very different to the way the fire red's made. Fire red goes red cherry, Sakura, then into fire red, and then up into painted fire red. So that just gives you a brief overview that there are many different Neocaridina out there. And I'd like to highlight that this chart's not perfect. It's not complete. It just highlights that the point I'm trying to get across is there's many different types of Neos. So just be aware of that. I'll go to more detail about subtypes later on. So as for a tank setup, this is what lots of my tanks look like when they're brand new. Very good green wall coverage. I just use a sponge filter, some sand, some rocks, a heater, and that's sort of what I set up. So I'd recommend 10 litres as a minimum size tank. Using the sand stops the poo sinking too far into the tank, so it's easy to suck up because it's just that base layer of rock. And yeah, this is my basic setup. You don't have to go too extravagant. Neocaridina water can be quite varied. Your TDS range is quite wide. I try to look between 200 to 250. GH is quite wide again. I look for about 7. KH is quite varied. I look for about 3. pH is very, very wide. So, you know, you can do a Caridina setup and still put Neocaridina in there. But I like just to go to 7.4. And then temperature, obviously, the higher the temperature, the more males you're going to run. The lower the temperature, more females. But I like to go 24 degrees, so you get a 50-50 split. And then this just highlights some stuff you might need to get started. So obviously a TDS pen. This pen is very, very good. It has an interchangeable tip, whereas this one's just plug and play. You can't really do much more. This one you can calibrate it as well. So Shrimp Mineral GHKH by Shrimp King's really good. Salty Bee's also really good. GHKH, but in Australia Shrimp King's pretty accessible. You might need to get a GHKH test kit. API one's really good. And then RO water if you want to use RO water. So this is just highlighting some of the more popular types. So in my opinion, fire red, yellow cherry, green jade, blue dream, and Bloody Mary are probably the most popular. Here I'm showing high-grade examples of these shrimp, but I'd say these are probably the most popular Neocaridina colours or types. I guess you'd call it. It would be a type, not a colour, but yeah, they're just the most popular. And here's a few close-ups of high grades. So you can see perfect leg colour, perfect rostrum colour, uniform colour throughout, tail colour, and just a solid colour throughout the whole shrimp. So yeah, and obviously really being solid head and tail and solid in the middle. So that just highlights some of the quality there. Yeah, that was just a brief introduction. In later videos, I'll go through more detailed in the genetics and differences between different shrimp and how you can tell the difference. I'll probably start with difference between Bloody Mary and Fire Red, and then in later videos, I'll move into different topics. But hopefully that just gives you a starting point and highlights there's many different shrimp types. And then also tank setup. I gave you a basic tank setup and water parameters to hit, and you should have a fair bit of success if you follow those tips. So here's one of my colonies of yellow cherry. I'm just highlighting that if you spend a lot of time and patience and have the right water, you can have a thriving colony. I appreciate everyone that watched the video to the full length. Next week's video is probably going to be on seed shrimp and how that helps your aquarium, and markers to look for, and how to identify seed shrimp. But thanks for watching this video, really appreciate it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll catch you next week. Thank you.